I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick, senior editor for WeissRatings.com. Welcome back to the show, Sean.
Thanks very much.
The Dow had a bit of a meltdown on Friday. The Monday downturn turned into, I guess, a power dive. What's your analysis?
Well, this is, in a weird way, a mirror image of what we saw on the way up, where people would see the market run up, they would try to sell it, they would try to take bearish positions, and they'd get steamrolled. We saw the same thing happen today, which is that, the market dips, people say, well, that's dipped enough, now I'll buy it, and then they get steamrolled to the downside. Now, I've been with my subscribers closing out positions and stuff like that, taking gains, that kind of thing, and so we're really okay. And we've also been adding some bearish positions, I don't know if you like individual positions. I don't know if you like individual positions, but stocks that funds that are leveraged to the downside on certain vulnerable industries and sectors and that kind of thing. And so really though, I don't see this as the next leg down. I see this as a correction. So the reason that I'm adding those funds is because I expect we will come to a place where we'll have a great buying opportunity, and I want to raise cash on the way down. So we had this great run up in January. I would say things got overbought. We need a pullback to correct that. But so far, that's really all it looks like, because the global economy is still humming along. And so the things that were underlying, the general rally are still there. The big questions are what happens with the U.S. dollar, that kind of thing. And so we'll just have to see how that works out.
The Canadian stock market was already down slightly for the start of the year, unlike the U.S. equity markets, but they also took a hit. Is, again, people just saying, yeah, it was too hot, it's time to let it settle down a little bit and then buy dips again?
Well, yeah, here's the thing, though. There are certain areas where you can look where there's even strength today. If you look at, say, energy metals, ones with things like lithium and stuff like that, those gapped lower, and many of them are moving higher. And so that looks really, really good. If I'm not saying this is the day you should buy, but I'm saying that when the bounce comes, it'll probably be in those areas that are actually outperforming today, because they've already had the stuffing beaten out of them. And also, by the way, cannabis is looking pretty good. I think part of this had to do with Aurora, which is now announced a new deal so that it'll be investing in liquor stores, so it'll have this vertical integration, and so that seemed to spark a lot of buying in the industry. This is the stocks up in Canada, by the way. I'm not speaking about U.S. marijuana stocks. But so we saw some big short covering. There are stocks that are up 20% and stuff that were really hammered hard last week, and now they're starting to actually turn around. Is this the bottom? I don't know. But I do know that that particular industry had the stuffing beaten out of it. So, hammered worse than the broad market. So when things turn around, when it starts to head higher again, as I think it will, that's a place where I'd look to put some money to work, because, that's some places that could really do well.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after the break.
I'm Greg Johnston, CEO of Carl Data Solutions, an industrial Internet of Things company that provides big data solutions for monitoring critical infrastructure. Carl Data offers machine learning and predictive analytics features through our cloud-based applications to deliver key asset-saving operational insights from massive amounts of data. Carl Data trades on the CSE, symbol CRL, and the pink symbol CDTAF. For more details on Carl Data, please visit carlsolutions.com.
I'm Bill McWilliam, President of Cascadero Copper, CCD on the TSX Venture Exchange. Cesium is one of the world's rarest metals with a growing industrial demand. Drilling is underway on our Tehran property in Argentina to prove up a cesium resource. Cascadero's patent-pending leach process has the potential to make Cascadero the lowest cost supplier of cesium in the world. Visit our website, cascadero.com, or phone us at 604-924-5504.
Welcome back. We're talking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, usually when the equity markets go down, we see gold make a big play. Do you plan to see that?
Well, I know that my gold stocks are up, so that's okay. I mean, I expect that, yes, as investors get scared, and the amount of fear that is in the market is starting to rise, but it's still near historically low levels, right? So, as people start to get scared, then they'll probably start to put more money into good mining shares, ones that are leveraged to the underlying metal. In fact, I'm flying out to Nevada this week to look at a great little miner, explorer, developer, that kind of thing. You know, they have a mine that used to be a producing mine, and of course that was in the old days. Now they have new technology. They can look around it and see there's actually a heck of a lot more to it. So, that's the kind of thing that I think people should be looking for value, because inflation is coming. You know, we've started to see the first hints of it. We have just started to see the beginning of inflation, and for years, I mean 5 years, 5 or else was it 8? I'm actually kind of forgetting that now. We saw the central banks of the world just pump money into the system, and they pumped it in and they pumped it in, and we saw no inflation. So, you know, people were wondering if, like, inflation is dead or something. No, it's just sleeping. And all that loose money sloshing around in the system, you know, that's going to come back to you. And so, we should see inflation take off this year, or at least head higher. And so, as people start to worry about that, you know, then they're going to want to reach for gold. And that means certain, you know, great-looking miners, explorers, developers that have been beaten flat with a shovel, they are really going to look good. And in fact, I was just reading a story on Bloomberg on how the big miners, they have so much cash flow, they literally do not know what to do with it. Well, I know what they're going to do with it. They're going to buy projects that they think will fill their pipelines because they haven't been doing the exploration. And so that'll be a great time to be in the junior space, because, you know, that's who they will buy the projects from. So I would look for a lot of that this year as well.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
Cypress Development Corp's flagship lithium project is located just east of Albemarle's Silver Peak mine in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. A 12-hole exploration drill program for lithium-enriched claystone on Cypress's 100% controlled properties is now underway. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the pink CYDVF, and on Frankfurt C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Keep informed. Receive our weekly recap of thought-provoking articles, podcasts, and radio delivered to your inbox for free. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage, HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, Cobalt seems to be the real darling of the metal world this year.
Yeah, hit another high. While at the same time, select cobalt stocks are not doing well, and there's a good reason for that. If you have a cobalt project in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is not a very democratic place, then you are in trouble, because the Congo previously announced they were going to be raising taxes on new mining projects and stuff like that. Everyone said, oh, okay, you know, but the existing mines will be all right. But then, just last week, the DRC's parliament came out and said, no, it's not just new mines, it's existing mines. And they actually doubled the taxes. And then they have the super tax that they're going to put if they think your profits are too high. It's just terrible news for a whole raft of companies. Not only cobalt, but also things like gold and copper and stuff like that. But the Democratic Republic of Congo produces 53% of the world's cobalt. Therefore, that disproportionately affects that market. What this does is it makes small miners, or I should say explorers and developers, in other parts of the world look much better. You know, because they, at least if they're in a country that doesn't have this kind of grabby government, then they are really going to shine. And I can think of some great stocks in Canada, which could interest your listeners, in the U.S., in Australia, that should look very nice by comparison. And they're being sold off now because the sentiment has soured on the whole cobalt energy metal sector right now. But as I said, I'm starting to see a kind of some nice bottoming action in lithium. We are going to see the same thing in the cobalt miners as well. And when the market wakes up and realizes what this news out of the DRC means, you know, that they have to look for cobalt elsewhere if they plan to make a real profit on it, that's really going to make some of these other projects look great. So, you know, this is a good news, bad news kind of thing. Bad news for those companies working in the DRC, but good news for those companies that have good projects elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, it's always funny. It seems to me if you're a democratic republic, you're pretty fascist or communist, and if you're a people's democratic republic, you're screwed.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't it the People's Democratic Republic of North Korea or something?
Yes. How many votes did those people get to cast?
Isn't that the weird thing? It's the people with the guns who get to vote.
Other areas when we see a downturn on the general equity markets that you should be looking at, perhaps if you're looking for a bottoming or a dip?
Well, that's really hard to say. I mean, people will be watching the banks because the banks usually indicates what's going to happen with the broader market, and but the banks still look pretty bad. So maybe I'm being, you know, jumping the gun here because of what I'm seeing in the energy metals. Then again, that sector got sold off so hard, you know, maybe that's where you would see things actually start to bounce first. But yeah, people will also look at things like banks. They'll also look at energy. And here's an interesting thing. One of the bearish positions that I recommended to my subscribers is one that is a double inverse, a leading energy stock fund, and that's doing great because the energy stocks are being sold hard. The energy stocks are being sold like we're going into recession, and we aren't going into recession. So when those energy stocks start to bottom, then you'll realize that the market's coming to its senses, and then you can start to make plans not only for the energy industry, those stocks, but for other stocks as well. So I'd keep my eye on the energy stocks as well. There's that probably will be a tell going forward.
Well, you usually know you're in a recession when you start seeing massive layoffs, and that hasn't happened.
Well, yes and no. I mean, behind the headlines of the U.S. tax cut, there are a bunch of companies laying things off. But that's more due to a kind of a shift and adjustment in the U.S. economy. So those people will probably get jobs elsewhere. You know, we're seeing more hiring in the energy industry, for example, out in the oil fields and like stuff like that. So it's not all doom and gloom the way some people would say. Certainly, there is an adjustment going on. We will have inflation coming back. That's generally, as long as it's not out of control inflation, that's generally real good. Well, that just moves things along economically because people feel they have to buy. So, you know, that just kind of adds to the general economic growth. So that should be good as well. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I think this is a correction that was long overdue. I'm just adding some bearish things because I want to raise money going down to the downside, but I expect the bottom to come sooner rather than later. And then we'll buy and we'll head higher. In the meantime, I have, you know, some nice gold stocks going higher, silver stocks going higher. I'm starting to see some kind of a bottom in the energy metal space, but maybe that's premature. We'll have to see. You know, a lot of things are in flux right now, but I actually feel pretty good about things. I'm glad to be going out to Nevada to check out a Gold Explorer, there are some real bargains out there. People can look in that industry as well. Especially if we have inflation coming back, we are going to see gold miners head higher. So that's something to keep on your radar as well.
I wonder if they have slot machines in the coffee shack at a gold site. Nevada, because everywhere you go. They have
slot machines at the airport in Vegas, I can tell you that much.
Well, I know.
Slot machines just about everywhere.
I know. I made $300 in a slot machine at the Reno airport just before boarding. So
you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, well, I have 3 buckets full of quarters, and I'm going, you can't exchange coins. And the pilot saw me with all these things. He says, I need those for parking. I'll buy them off you for cash. So it worked out for everybody. Sean, have a good trip to Nevada.
Thanks very much.
And I hope you're doubly lucky there.
I hope so, too.
My guest has been Sean Brodrick, Senior Editor for WeissRatings.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. If you have any questions for the show, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.